4 of the final 8 have been unveiled in the Champions League, with Bayern picking up what could be a bad injury. More on that in a moment. And FC Copenhagen with a stunning goal away to City. These guys are entertaining, man. Hey, I'm Adrian. How are you? Did things go your way this week, football-wise? Welcome to UCL This Week, and let's get into it. No real surprises in this one, to be honest, as Real Sociedad's bad form continues, my friends. It's unfortunate to see, of course, as someone who has a soft spot for this club. So it was nice to see them at least get a goal at the very end of this 2-1 loss at home as a little send-off. But my God, has Real Sociedad ever been going through it, eh? In the last 7 matches, they have 1 win and 6 losses. That's terrible. In their last 10 matches, add 3 draws to that. 1 win, 3 draws, and 6 losses. Really brutal form for Real Sociedad, and given their form, this was always going to be the expected result. No, hard for them to turn around that 2-0 from the first leg anyway. As for PSG, I think the narrative will mostly surround how difficult life may be for them without Kylian Mbappé in the future, as the rest of the attackers for PSG did not look good at all. I'm talking Kolo Muani when he came on, and before that, Bradley Barcola, who should have scored in the first half. Mbappe's first goal in particular is a goal that many players can't score because not many players have the confidence and the ability with that to do so. He had Zubeldia on strings there, and then a cool finish arrowed into the corner. And remember, about 5-6 minutes prior to that, he had that run down the wing where he absolutely burned Traoré for pace, and then his cutback was picked off. These are things that Mbappé offers that are unique to him, and he has bailed his club out regularly. The man nearly scored 15 minutes later after a nice cutback for Barcola, and he did score in the 56th minute when, again, his pace put so much space between himself and the defender, and this time he picked out the bottom corner at the near post to all but kill off Sociedad. That made it 4-0 on aggregate. Sociedad with an offside goal. Donnarumma was forced into a couple of great saves, but Marino got Sociedad's late goal. Now again, after what happened on the weekend with Mbappé getting subbed off at halftime, it was all eyes on him, and he delivered. Now, the question surrounding this PSG side is how much further will they get? That's a question I think only the draw can answer at the moment, as their strength compared to the rest of the teams that have made it through this week ranks in the bottom 50% in my opinion. Why? That's based on the low level of their opposition. As I mentioned, 1 win in 10 matches is not good for Sociedad. But hey man, in the knockout rounds, you never know what will happen. Bayern, they did it! Who would have thought that the second leg of a round of 16 match against the 9th place Serie A club would be Thomas Tuchel's cup final, in a sense. His job was on the line, as there's no going back from getting eliminated by this Lazio team. With all due respect... with no respect, actually. What a bunch of losers, man. There are Lazio supporters who are normal people, but these guys who consistently are the loudest, absolute losers. Anyway, Thomas Tuchel's side get the victory, but it came at a great cost, a potentially big injury. Yes, during the pre-match motivational speech, Thomas Tuchel kicked a door and by his own admission did not kick it with the proper technique, and it looks as if he may have broken his toe. Best of luck to him, could be out for a while. Won't be kicking doors during speeches. But in all seriousness here, there was only a couple of moments where Lazio were really threatening to Bayern's goal, and in the end, they had 0 shots on target from only 5 attempts. That's nothing compared to Bayern's 17 attempts and 0 on target from the first leg. But Bayern got a goal through Harry Kane, then a second through, well, everyone thought it was De Ligt. And for Puska's purposes, it would have been nice if his stunning volley had gone straight in, as it looked like it had. But Thomas Müller got the all-important touch. How could he do that to De Ligt? I mean, I think it needed the touch, to be honest. Müller set up Harry Kane's opener as well, kind of. He got what we call a hockey assist, heading down the cross back to Guerrero, and Kane then heading it past Provedel. Later, a strike from Sané was saved by Provedel, but fell to Kane, the last dude you want to see the ball fall to. And of course, he cleaned it up for 3-0. By the way, I had a good laugh watching Sané celebrate before Kane had even finished it off, as you can see here. 3-0 the final for Bayern, and while it wasn't a stunning all-conquering performance from Bayern of old that absolutely obliterates teams 7-0, etc., it was still a pretty comfortable victory for them. I think that was the most satisfying thing for Bayern supporters to see, was that change in attitude. This was a Bayern that looked motivated, and I guess I too would be pretty motivated if I saw a German guy break his toe on a door while delivering a pre-game speech. I mean, wouldn't you? So while this was an improvement for sure, how do you feel about them going forward in this competition? It's difficult to say for certain because Bayern have been anything but trustworthy lately. Is this a turning point and they go on to gain in strength? Or do we take this for what it is? Bayern Munich beating the team who is 9th in Serie A currently. In this very moment, which is all we can go off, I still don't see them as a semi-final team. But like we said with PSG, the draw will have its say for Bayern Munich. You know, the reason why we play and watch this sport is for those memorable, against all odds comebacks, whether it's a late comeback in a match or a David versus Goliath situation. All of us football fans and players are irrational in a sense, thinking, hey, maybe it could be us. Maybe we could be the ones to have this incredible comeback, boys. Come on. City are strong, but they aren't at their peak. Maybe we can do this. And from the very first set piece of this match, Manchester City scored. Damn it. Manuel Akanji with a tasty finish. His finish was clean, but major concerns when it comes to how Copenhagen were defending. If I'm an attacker during a corner, there's no way I should be able to get off a knee-height volley. Should never ever happen. The defender should be clearing that away every single time. And just to kill Copenhagen's dreams further, City scored again, just 3-4 minutes later. Not a beautiful goal. I mean, sorry, Alvarez, take nothing away from how you struck the ball because the technique was beautiful. But it slipped right through Grabara's hands and in. Never should have gone in, but hey, that put Alvarez on 5 goals and 2 assists in 5 appearances in the Champions League this season. Oh yeah, he set up Akanji's opener as well. I forgot to mention that. So a nice night for Alvarez. Just a nice season in general from him, really. Speaking of nice things, Copenhagen did deliver a very, very nice, I gotta stop saying nice, but a nice goal to give their traveling supporters something to cheer on and maybe gave some of them some irrational hope as well. We all identify with the irrational hope. Mohamed El-Yunusi, for me, one of my legendary players back when I played FIFA. Anyone who watched my Inter Milan career mode back in the day will remember him. I mean, he also played for Southampton and Celtic and FC Basel as well, so not exactly an unknown quantity. While El-Yunusi drove at City's back line, played a nice back heel nutmeg give and go with Oscarsson, and then finished coolly past Ederson to make it 2-1 on the night. Lovely from Copenhagen, 5-2 on aggregate. But Haaland killed all the happiness, at least for the opponents, when he scored a lovely goal of his own. Good control, stepped inside, then lashed it low past the keeper and the near post. That's goals in 3 consecutive matches for Haaland, who, while his finishing hasn't been perfect lately, a bit streaky, you can't argue with 7 goals in 3 matches. 3-1 the final once again, 6-2 on aggregate, and Manchester City march on as one of the contenders for this thing, don't they? Leipzig attacking in transition actually looked pretty decent. You had Sesko offside by a step. I mean, he's tall, so it's a large step, but he was well behind their back line. Then you had that attack that ended with Openda spraying it wide. In fact, Real Madrid were quite poor in the first half, weren't they? And their play was met with whistles starting around the 40th minute as Leipzig were passing circles around them, swarming the Real Madrid box. When the halftime whistle blew, the whistles rang around the stadium as they let Real know what they thought of their display. It wasn't good. In the second half, Ancelotti had to change something, and he did, taking off Camavinga for Rodrigo, as Real went back to their usual shape rather than having Bellingham in that strange sort of 9 role that he was in the first half. With Rodrigo up there alongside Vinny, they looked a bit better. The change was justified, but Vinicius was being a bit risky, wasn't he? A couple of fouls, putting his hands on Willy Orban like this, I mean, that's really risky stuff. That said, Real Madrid got their goal through a stunning counterattack as Bellingham drove forward, was patient in watching Vinicius make a run across the back of the defenders, and Vinicius finished beautifully across Gulashi. That put Real Madrid 2-0 up on aggregate, and you could argue that based on the first half, they didn't really deserve that lead in the moment. However, the Rodrigo substitution really made all the difference and sparked Real Madrid to life. I say that, and Leipzig almost scored immediately after. Good toe poke from Rudiger to put Olmo's strike wide, but I do think that Lunin would have got to that anyway. That said, part 2, RB Leipzig did get a goal shortly after, with David Raum putting in a decent cross that Willy Orban really had to get perfect as he was slightly behind him. Not the easiest finish, but he finished it across Lunin and in. Back to where we started, a 1-goal advantage for Real Madrid on aggregate. But from there, Leipzig were definitely the better team in this match. Sure, Real Madrid had moments through the brilliance of their individuals and their attackers. Here's looking at Rodrigo and that mazy run that he went on before hitting a tame strike straight at Gulaschi in the middle of the goal. But Dani Elmo in particular was a headache for Real Madrid, as he had a few opportunities that he spurned, some close, others hooked wide. The closest for him was a looping strike that bounced off of the crossbar in the 90th minute as Leipzig couldn't find an equalizer at the Bernabeu. A shame for them, as they will certainly be thinking back to that disallowed goal from the first leg, 2 minutes in to that first leg. Now, what do we make of Real Madrid? They certainly looked out of sorts in this, as I thought that them playing in the Bernabeu in the second leg would have seen them cruise to victory, but for the most part, Leipzig were the superior side. What we did see is the thing that makes it impossible to sleep on Real Madrid. They have players like Vinicius and Bellingham, and even an out-of-form Rodrigo showed that he can slalom through defenders and, well, nearly score in this case, but still, you see what I mean about them. They have difference makers in that side. They are a team that you always have to count as a contender, and with their injury situation slowly improving with every passing day, they will only gain in strength. Mind you, they weren't exactly depleted here against Leipzig, and they looked pretty shaky, so a one-off or trouble for Ancelotti. I'd lead toward the former. Okay, fellas and ladies, that's enough for me here today. Thank you for joining me for this run-through of all that happened this week, and hey, we'll do this again 1 week from now. All right? Love ya.